Let's go.
What's happening, people? Welcome into another episode of All You Can Eat Warriors. And I mean, All You Can Eat Warriors as always. And we're here again live tonight, guys, to do our match preview for the Bulldogs. But I'm here with my man, the card breaker, the card collect, the man who's going to be in it. Who's the guy from the US? What's his name? The main guy that Gary V. The Gary V.
Gary V. Bro, he's massive into the card game, eh? He's a mad guy, that one.
The Gary V of rugby league card breaking. Ash Thomas, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good, my bro. Yeah, obviously, yeah, you caught the old live stream of me breaking the latest card break that I did over. I've been waiting for this card set for a little while, the NRL Elites, and ended up getting this really, really cool Greg Inglis card over the weekend, man. As I said, I was talking to you before, I was like, bro, I couldn't believe that's like a $300 to $400 card, and I'm just like ecstatic. But shout out anyone, if anyone was breaking that set and gets an autographed Shaun Johnson team colored one, let me know. Let me know. Shoot it my way for sure.
Absolutely, man. And that card petrifies me because I know for a lot of New South Wales guys, Greg Inglis in a Queensland jersey is like terrifying. But I tell you, in a Kangaroos jersey, it's even scarier, man. That guy just absolutely tore us apart for too long a time, really. Greg, what a talent he was.
Freak,
one of the best to do it. Yeah, absolute freak, man. So, man, awesome to be here, guys, tonight. Yeah, look, we're going to go a little bit off the fly. And actually, bear with us. We are on some new software. I know Ash has already been on. This is my first time on it, but it's so cool to see the options we have with our new software. And as always, we appreciate everyone coming into the chat, and as well as our members, and we encourage everyone to become a member. I'm going to be doing some massive stuff over the next few weeks with that, even though we're close to the end. We really do appreciate that. So, my man Ash, how are you? How are you feeling? I suppose it's a new week, a new day. But just in terms of Warriors, how's everything going for you, man?
Yeah, man, obviously, yeah. Didn't get the win over the weekend. We spoke about that quite enough, over our little call and that. But yeah, we're coming to the end of the season. It's been a very disappointing season. I think we can all agree on that. But let's run out for Shawnee's, last games coming up, and hopefully, bring home the chockies, for hopefully Shawnee in the run out, obviously retiring and that. It sucks to see such a legend leave the club, but I think we all agree now it's the best for him and it's the best for both of us as well, and we got to move on. A big game this weekend against the Doggies, a team that we took to the brink and almost got over the top of, as we know. Hopefully this time goes a little bit different, and we can hit that game-winning field goal. Hopefully we don't even need to get that field goal to win this game, but honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a massive occasion. I mean, I want to congratulate to Shaun and Shaun Johnson Stadium. I was thinking, man, would they ever do that for Eden Park or even Suncorp? Change it for it, man. It's so cool that our guys. I know we had Manu Vative, we've had Daniel Anderson last year, so it's pretty cool that we get the opportunity to kind of celebrate our guys like in that fashion, and Jazz as well. And Adam as well for the work they've done, and so it'd be great to be out there. Fortunately got a ticket. Shout out to the Bourne family. I know they're probably not watching this, but thank you for offering your ticket for me. I'm going to take that advantage and go up to Mount Smart and go watch Shaun in his last game at home, and hopefully it's to celebrate a win, man. That would be absolutely awesome. Just quickly, people are saying in the chat that Jazz is going to Manly. He did say somewhere warm, apparently. You feel it would be a Manly fit? I can't personally see it. Could you see him in the NRL or could you see him in the Super League? What's your personal views on Jazz?
I still see him being an NRL player, bro. All the rumors I heard was he was in talks with the Cowboys. The Cowboys had been in talks with Jazz. They've been in talk with RCG. So it looks like they're looking for another prop another middle forward that they can throw out there. And I think Jazzy would be perfect for them. He'd be another like Ruben Cotter type that they can run out there, a whole ton of effort. Probably not to the level of a Ruben Cotter, right? But I'd say, the energy, the enthusiasm that he plays with, we know what Jazz can bring to a club. When he said something warm, I just was like, yeah, it's the Cowboys. Like, think of Townsville, bro. Like, tropical and that. But seeing, the guys chuck up in the chat, in a Manly forum, they reckon Manly is going to be the place for Jazzy Devanga. As you did say, he didn't drop the name of the club, but if that's going around, maybe they got some inside sources at Manly, bro. What's your thoughts? Do you think he fits in at Manly? I don't really see it there. They got Carl Lawtoners of the world that are very similar type of players, and they got some really big middle forwards that they got around the club. I don't know if I see it at Manly. What's your thoughts there?
I don't think so, but maybe that's why he dropped the ball on my. He's saying, "Hey, this is my token. I'll give you this one. So if you sign me, I'll drop this ball right here. Wink, wink." No, I don't think he's a Manly type player. I think he's more of a Cowboys guy, and I think most guys would, you talk about Peyton, got Villy Vilea. Who else has he got? I think he's gotten a few over his little run. So Jazz could find himself up in North Queensland, which kind of suit their style. They are kind of a high pace, high octane type, and he brings that kind of leg drive and speed as a kind of smaller forward, but could fit into their high pace system. I'm just happy for him. Whatever he's done. I think he's been a great servant of the club. He's one where you feel as though like I'm happy for you to do whatever you want, bro. You've done your best. Whereas other guys that maybe left early, you kind of don't wish the best for them. The Ali Couture's, I respect Ali, but you kind of think, if you'd stayed a bit longer. Whereas Jazz, he's always been committed to the Warriors. Now it's his time to go and get the best for himself and his family. He's got a young baby. Just want him to get the maximum he can out of his career, wherever that ends up. But for me, probably North Queensland. Yeah.
Yeah. Out of all of it, I was like, as soon as I heard the rumors that North Queensland, as soon as I heard him pretty much come out and say he's going somewhere warm, I was like, North Queensland for sure. But throwing up Manly is a really interesting one there. Other than that, maybe the Gold Coast Titans could have been another team that could have chased for him. I've seen, a Dolphins guy, GT, come to the Dolphins, lacking middle forwards at the moment. He could be an option there too.
I know. Is he better than a Ray Stone? You think he's better than a Ray Stone-ish type player?
I'd probably say he'd probably have more attacking ability than Ray Stone. Defensively, I'll have Ray Stone a little bit higher, but Jazzy's a good defender as well, right? Like he's a beast in the middle.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like, who are you? There's probably teams like the Dolphins, maybe even the Titans, that they just want to get a guy similar to what they've got right now, or maybe just a tad better. And give you more options. I think he'd probably fit in at one of those clubs easy, in my opinion.
Yeah, bro. And again, whatever club gets him, they'll get like the energy, he'll give his full heart to him and all that. It's just an interesting one. It's a sad day, obviously, having a legend like Jazzy Devanga, a fan favorite to some. Leaving the club and that, but whatever club he's going to go to, he's going to absolutely kill it for. So we'll have to wait and see. And just touching on the Dolphins and that, obviously they're picking up Fene Fuyaki and all that from the Cowboys. So maybe they don't really need another middle forward. But again, they're losing Tavita Pangai Jr. We saw they brought him in this year to try and strengthen up the middle that got heavily injured. So it definitely is an option there too, bro. It definitely could be an option.
Yeah, whatever he does, I'm happy for him. Even if he ends up in the Super League, Catlands, I think he'll do well in any of those in those leagues. So, heaps of opportunity for him. Yep.
Yeah, and here with Tans, I can't see him in another jersey. It'd be really, really weird. I agree.
Yeah, he'd probably be the one.
Question. A question I'll give to you, bro. Dean Colhane. What's going on, Dean? Nice little Newcastle tattoo going on there. Do you think Cronulla will do something for SJ in SJ's last game, bro? What do you reckon?
I'd hope so. I think it'd be great to kind of tie off his career there. I'm sure they would. I wouldn't expect him to bring all the stoppages for him. Maybe a farewell off the ground, and acknowledgement off screen after the game in the sheds. Be interesting. I know the boys from the ET podcast want to have a chat, and maybe we'll catch up with them sometime next week and maybe ask them, is he, in your guys' eyes, is he worthy of that? I would say so. So yeah, in my personal opinion, not nothing, maybe a standing ovation at the end, if or whatever. I don't know, but I think they should. I think he's only a 2 club guy. If he was maybe 3 or 4, you probably like, not enough time there. But I think he played a decent amount of time at Cronulla to maybe warrant just some type of acknowledgement. Yeah, what do you reckon, Ash?
I agree, bro. I really do feel like, there was a moment, like, I kind of think of his Sharkies tenure as like not an underrated part of his career, because it was slightly poor due to injury. Like he had some major injuries there that kept him out for decent periods of the Sharkies, but he also had that season from memory. I'm pretty sure he got up to like 30 try assists in that season. Dragged the Shark. I think he got into the top 8 for the Sharkies. There was a year after that. Obviously, he struggled with his goal kick in that, but there was a really good year there with Shawnee. Like him and Britton Accorda, came together, and I think a lot of Sharkies fans that I knew, they actually loved Shaun Johnson as well. And like, I think everyone's got like just an in our era. We grew up watching Shaun Johnson, so obviously we all got that rosy-colored glasses for Shawnee. So it would be nice to see them maybe do something there, maybe a Shaun Johnson Cup. I know we're naming the ground this weekend, the Shaun Johnson Stadium. So maybe play for the Shaun Johnson Cup in the last game with the Sharkies, bro. What do you reckon there?
Yeah, absolutely. Did he play under Flanagan at all, Sean?
I think he just missed Flanagan, bro. He played under John Morris from memory. Yeah, John Morris was probably his coach. Yeah,
don't want him involved in any of those peptides.
It probably would have helped him, bro. He probably wouldn't have got the injuries, bro.
We might be here for another 5 years if he's on the pips.
We probably got another level of Shaun Johnson if we got on the peps. It would have been nice to see.
Oh, man, that would have been great. That would have been a great time. Yeah, okay, you went under Morris. Yeah, Morris. Okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really hope this Friday that all the stars come out. He's a big media personality. I hope everyone comes out and gets a photo with Shaun, or that comes into the sheds. I know, I'm sure a lot of people. He's going to be a massive media figure moving forward in the sports space. So we're not going to miss Shaun Johnson. I think he'll be on our TV screens or YouTube. He'll be nearly everywhere, I would imagine. So it's not like. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good transition. Do you think, actually, from a media perspective, do you think he'll have a great transition into media? I actually liked him as a commentator too at the he did the Pacific Championships last year.
Yeah.
Do you see him in the booth? In your opinion?
Listening to his podcast, bro, I think he's a really good talker. So I think it could really definitely, like, it could really suit someone like Shawnee, like, a guy that had to learn the game in a different sort of way. He came to the competition as that athletic phenom that, had the mean left, right foot step, tackle breakability and all that, where, I thought the underrated part of his game too, I thought he had decent playmaking back in his younger years, but obviously he grew into that main playmaking role later on in his career due to injuries and stuff. So he could give a really good insight to, he's played through multiple eras of football as well. Where people are looking, where they want their sets to end up, the reason why, certain things happen on the football field. And as I said before, like on his podcast, he seems to talk really, really well. So I think it really suits him doing that sort of stuff. And obviously he'll continue doing his podcast, little career as well, the Let's Play podcast, which is a play on podcast, which is a really, really nice listen to every week. But I'd love to see him as our halves coach too, bro. Like, keep around a club like Stacey, obviously mentor like a Luke Metcalf coming through and that, he probably, get really close with someone like Luke Metcalf, would see a lot of himself there too. So that would be the best thing for me. But if it was media career, bro, 100%, I reckon he would kill it on Sky Sports. And honestly, Australia, shout out to Australia. They need to get Sky Sports commentary on the Fox League sometimes, because I rate that so much higher than some of our Fox League commentators, in my opinion. So, yeah, bro, it'd be incredible.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. I find the Sky Sports commentary panel a bit too vanilla. I think Shaun would spice it up, which would be great. I'm just wondering if they would actually, allow someone like Shaun to come on. I mean, probably Shaun, I think he's enjoying that kind of open style that he's got right now. But I would imagine that he would, probably move into something eventually, into that commentating role, which I thought he did really cool. He gave some really good insights. And he's played through many eras, so he's kind of still got a feel for different styles of footy, what the modern game's about, what I'm actually big excited for him, and I heard he's going to be doing like a halves camp for New Zealand boys. Like that for me would be the best thing he could possibly do, because I'd love to see him, kind of spearhead developing New Zealand halves at a younger age, bro. So for me, that's kind of where I would love to see him in that space as well, coaching. He's probably not it's probably not a head coach material type guy, but a kind of a skills coach, a specialist. I think he would work wonders in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And just before we move on, yeah, Killer, we definitely, we're going to be bringing all new emojis soon. Obviously, we'll keep the ones we got now, but because you did the amazing job of gifting extra, members, I actually got the ability to get some more emojis and all that. But also try out the emojis we've got on to, in our chat currently right now, guys. If you are a member of WhatsApp TV, if you aren't, please feel free to sign up if you want to, guys. We're not pressuring anyone into it, but feel free, Killer, to use the emojis down below. We're on this new platform that I'll be able to show the new emojis on screen. But also moving on to Tarn saying, yeah, Montoya also does a podcast with his wife. Have you heard Monty's podcast with his wife?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I do get it pop up on my TikTok feed, the story about the mother-in-law snapping them, or the brother. Oh, it's absolutely gold. I didn't realize how funny his wife is. And I know he's not a social media guy, but it's probably perfect that a guy that isn't too social medially, savvy gets a podcast, because he kind of just brings a raw view of things. So I enjoy it. The little reels I haven't listened to the whole podcast, but they got some good stories. some really visual ones that I don't encourage anyone really, but. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a Google, bro. She's honestly like so open and honest and that. She seems like the perfect person for Monty. But I think they're at the second episode of it or whatever. And like I think in their second one, they were like asking their parents if they heard their podcast and that. And Monty's mum was like, "Oh yeah, son, I'm proud of you. I loved it. Like it was funny, and I know her. Like it's all good to talk like that." But it was actually her mum that was on there. It's like, oh, it wasn't even that funny, to be honest. Like she did one of those cold ones. But bro, yeah, it's really good. Listen, guys, you haven't gone and check out Montoya's potty. I'm actually not too sure the name off the top of my head, but I see all the clips go around everywhere. So go look up Marcelo Montoya's new podcast with his wife.
One thing, man, and I'll probably be hated for this, but I actually like Aussie humor a little bit more than Kiwi humor.
Yeah.
Don't hate me for that, but I do like Aussie shows and their humor. Not all things. I think Kiwi humor is pretty good at times, but I think Aussie humor is a bit more, I don't know, like Footy Show and all that stuff was like awesome to me compared to what we have, the breakdown or whatever, the rugby union stuff. Like I think culturally rugby league is just real funny. We don't take ourselves seriously. Everyone's kind of comes from that, they're not protective
background.
Yeah, larrikin background, and I actually I appreciate Aussie humor. Probably the scale for me is sorry, Jazz. I say I like Aussie, UK, probably Kiwi, and then American. For me, like American's a bit predictable. It's like
I think we
get
can
sick
all
of that
agree.
stuff. Yeah,
we all agree about America, bro. I don't know. They're a bit cringy sometimes. Like the old American
the Americans.
and that.
Yeah, the fake laughter and the kind of repetitive style they have. Yeah, but and that's why I liked what their podcast. I thought it was good. But I shouldn't say that because I'd probably say more Maori Pacific Island humor. I'm big fans of that. I should reword that. The more dry white style here in New Zealand, I'm not, I don't listen to the rock or but the Polynesian stuff, that's like the boys on the what's their name, Jordan and thing. That's
bro,
me.
yeah, the morning shift.
Yeah, I gotta reword that. I reword that, Jazz. It's the white New Zealand comedy, but I love the Polynesian Maori stuff. Always have, but yeah, I do appreciate Aussie humor as well.
The old rewind, my brother. The rewind.
Yeah. I'm rewinding there. No. But yes, man. Okay, there you go. You guys learned something. Let's get into this team list, man.
Let's go for it.
Oh wow. Okay, here we go. So we'll do our boys first, at least. I I might just get you to call it out, Ash. I'm just going to pull it up on my screen, yeah, because I'm just operating on a smaller screen at the moment. So if you can just call that out, yep. Ah, Ash, just check your mic. Um, were you muted for a sec there? People. Okay, yep. Sorry, if you go again, man. People. Yep.
There
Sorry,
we
everyone.
go. I
Yep.
should be back. Am I back, guys? Am I back? I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Obviously, new platform, guys. We do apologize. We'll run through this one again anyway. So, obviously, at fullback, we got Chance Nickel Cockstag. In the wings position, Dallin Wattenis Lesniak and Marcelo Montoya. In the centers, Adam Pompey and Roger Chuavasashek. With our halves pairing of Sean Johnson, Luke Metcalf. Rounding off in the forward pack, we got Adam Fenor, Blake, Mitch Barnett, Murata Niakore, Kurt Catewell, and Dylan Walker. Our hooker, the man back again, Wade Moses, my brother. Wade Egan. He is back, bro. Back off that elbow injury. We're not too sure if he's 100% back, but he's been named here, so we'll wait and see how that plays out. Freddie Lussick on the bench with that 14 jersey. Tom Ale at 15. Jazzy Tavanga and Dimitri Sifakula finishes out our interchange. Obviously, notable name to miss out in this lineup this week, Chanel Harris-Tavita, who's been named 18th man. So we'll wait and see how that plays out, bro. As we know with old Webby, this could be a 24-hour little shift around. But
Yep.
what's your thoughts overall on that lineup there being named up against these Bulldogs?
Well, I got a feeling that Sean and Metcalf will fire a little bit better this week. Like I did enjoy the first half, and I thought the shape was pretty good. I'm expecting Sean to have a bit of an uptick, emotionally, to be emotionally driven. I'm hoping the other boys are kind of, even for Jazz and Adam, just they want to go give their best performance on Mount Smart as Warriors. Obviously they'll play at Mount Smart again, but in the Warriors jersey. So I'm expecting a bit of an uptick, but I actually think Metcalf and Sean will be a little bit sharper, a little bit crisper. The back five for me, I just hope they I'm just really keyed in on defensive reads. I want to make sure that they that they have a good solid run. I mean, would love to see Roger get a try or set up a try on that side a little bit more. Might see some more right side attack. We saw Dallin go over the line, so we might see that again. And then Chance, probably just to have a solid game as well. But I think it's a pretty good team. I think it's the best we got right now. Egan back. I'm just hoping that he's fully fit. I enjoyed Lussick actually. I thought it was a nice change of style last week. But I saw Lussick's there. Tom, Jazz, and Dimitri. I do like that bench. Those three forwards. I thought Tom had a good stint as well, and Dimitri to get 3 straight games is great for him. I'm looking forward to him. Playing at home. Is this his first home game? I feel like he's been played. So he played Panthers last year away at Magic, and then he got suspended, I think. But maybe this might be his first home game because he played against the Dolphins.
He played Dolphins. I'd say this is his first home game, bro. So it's going to be a massive. His energy he's going to bring in that home game, bro. Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, but I think you might be right about Chanel might jump in there. If Egan isn't right, then we know there's going to be Lussick up and then Chanel back in. So, what's your feel for the squad, bro? You feeling confident in the halves that they'll make fire a bit more?
Yeah, I'd say probably another week of bringing these guys together. I think we could all agree that our attack looks slightly better over the weekend in that first half. Like it looks
Yeah.
like we were using the ball a little bit more. We're shifting on Manly's edges. I think the main drawback to our attack over last weekend was errors. And
Yeah.
hopefully just another week with these guys together, we can really tweak those errors. I know we've been dealing with that for a lot of the season, and even stats wise, apparently we're not that bad at an error rate in that, but like with the amount of combinations we've been throwing up all year, I saw a stat online. Like it's the amount of halves pairing we've had all year has just been mental, right? Having these guys together for a week. The first half pairing we wanted to start the season to add in with Chance, Nickel Clockstag at fullback. Hopefully the boys get a little bit more glue on their hands and hold on to the ball a little bit more. But I'm really excited to see that again. I'm excited to see Luke Metcalf. I thought he was a little bit of a shining light in that Manly game as well. Obviously the one error is the one that probably maybe got pointed out a little bit, but other than that, I thought that his attack down those edges was really, really nice. His speed to get outside that A defender is really good to see. Obviously coming back off a broken leg, bro. So I think that it's a great team list from top to bottom, very experienced. I think, Webby's obviously committed to running this group out to the end of the year. Obviously, a lot of names that are not going to be with us next year: Sean Johnson, Adam Fanor-Blake, and Jazzy Tavanga. But yeah, hopefully they can get a really nice win against the Dogs at home at Sean Johnson Stadium, eh?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a great opportunity against a Dogs team that, look, they've just had a superb run of games, and confidence is super high for them. I would love to drop that confidence personally, and put a caveat in their run. For me, it's firstly play for Sean and play for the crowds. Like let's be honest. Like there's been sellout crowds. Everyone is bought into the Warriors. It would be nice to finish on a win. To send everyone off in the off season at least a little bit happy. I know we haven't had a great home record this year. So personally, I'd just like to see the boys really, really do it for the fans as well. But personally, I would like to rock the Bulldogs' confidence right now and put a caveat that they're not all that. I can't say that because they have been proving to be, a solid team. And their systems and foundations are stronger than ours. But you never know with maybe a Sean Johnson performance and the forwards really, dominating. Like I thought the game against the Bulldogs last time we did dominate for good periods of time.
Yeah.
I think this might be an interesting one because you might say they're going to battle it out with Sean Johnson's high kicking game and kind of put that field pressure on them. Fortunate for them, they always have Burton to kick them out of that kind of thing. But if we can get into that grind again, it might be a low-scoring game, and hopefully this time, we come away with the goods. So that's kind of how I see it could be happening. But for you, the Bulldogs, before we get into the combined and all that, where do you see them? Do you see any weaknesses? Do you think they're just that confident and unstoppable at the moment, or do you think we can actually go and genuinely ruin their confidence where they're at right now?
Yeah, it's really hard to say with the form that we've been in to say that we can come into this game and confidently just say we can come up and ruin what they've got going on. But I think that a lot of things are coinciding with this game here. I would say that, as I totally agree with you, that our last game that we had against the Doggies, there was a noticeable uptick in effort in that game. It looked like that, obviously, going up against, Serraldo's Bulldogs. I'm not too sure if, Webby just gets the boys up, and they felt that, just noticeably last game, I thought the boys hit harder. I thought defensively we were really, really strong in that game. I know a lot of people would argue, obviously, the Doggies didn't throw a lot at us, but I'd say that it started off with the game with how rough and tumble it actually was, and the boys were putting some really nice hard contact. We were winning the ruck majority of that game. Just the key pieces that fell apart was definitely our complete backline fell apart in that game. So just thinking off the top of my head, if we stay fit and healthy, we run out through the game with the same mentality as last game, I'd say that we should, in theory, come home with a really nice win at home. Give this one back to Shawnee. But it's really a tough ask when you see the mentality of the Doggies, the way they've been rolling this year. You know, they've picked up a couple of away wins, which was probably their downfall this season. I think before that Dolphins game, they were 1-8 away from home. I think, no, actually before the Broncos game, I think they were 1-8 away from home. And now they've picked up those couple of away wins, which, you know, has swayed that sort of look now. So it's like the Dogs don't really have, I'd say the only weakness you could ever give to it is maybe their attack, but they just scored 30 on the Dolphins as well. So they are proving themselves. So it's really hard to say that we can really nail them down after, you know, our performances lately. But again, as I said before, we've come up against a side, you know, fairly similar side, top to bottom. Obviously, Josh Adokar is a little bit different there, and maybe a little bit of speed on the edge can break us apart a little bit more with that Doggies attack. But we did dominate them, you know, in my eyes, through the middle in the forward pack, and definitely our back line that we had when we first ran out there, bro. So I'm fairly confident where we can get it done in this game. It's just like we got to get it done, like, right? We got to go out there and do what we all know we can, what this team can possess, right? Like that's the biggest frustration of this season so far.
Well, yeah, I just think you go back to those principles of the winning the middle. Like I actually believe last week against Manly, where there was one set where we just kept putting guys underneath, breaking down their middles, and then we kind of we're about to score, and then we either muff the opportunities. I think we got to go back to those principles, play through the middle a lot more than what we are, because I mean that back five for me, like Crichton, nearly unlockable. Sherry's been really good with Adokar. You know, so you have to really make sure that you're winning those. That middle contest to get those quick play the balls and then shift. I mean, I think it's against a Bulldogs team where if they're slowing that play the ball down enough, it's almost nearly really tough to break them down on the outside. So I think more of that stuff where maybe you put Adam on an edge, the try for SJ I thought was really good. Maybe pick your moments like that where you can get your back rowers some really solid openings and then build off that. And maybe, you know, you don't go out wide too quickly. You rein it in. You make sure you've got the numbers and the play the ball speed to really hit it, and then you go and crack it. You know, exactly. That's kind of how I would approach it. Just break them down. Like I know they're pretty independent. Like they got those forward pack that will just keep working every day. But you pick your moments with this team because my only fear is that. You know, we might go wide too early and they might counter. Like, I do believe in that, you know, when we've talked about when you're doing too much and then there's a knock on and then there's a counter attack. Like, this team scares me on the counter. Like, remember the game against the Dragons and Sean was doing too much on the goal line and there was a knock on and then Sloan ran away for a breakaway try. I just scare if we make any type of knock on or error and on the goal line there, you got Sherry, you got the Fox. They got speed for days. They'll burn you, you know. So play even tighter if you need to. Like maybe not go for the crossfield bomb to Dallin if it's gonna, you know what I mean? Maybe just don't put any spots on it. Like, you know, for example, the CHT kick against the Dolphins and then Farnsworth ran away. Like, try not to put ourselves in any vulnerable positions so that we can keep it in tight. Is my philosophy.
Yeah, bro. Like if you watch the Doggies attack in the last, like, couple of weeks, they like to use the ball a lot more out of their back end, right? Like they've really coming to their own. They play a little bit like that Manly, like trying to get it work out of the back end because they don't have the biggest forwards in the world, and even their back line, you know, Josh Adokar, Jacob Carraz gets through a ton of work and gets through a lot of meters, but comparatively to Dallin and what Montoya actually bring out of our back line, like, you know, those boys run for like a good 130, 140 hard carries to put us into really good field position. It's only really Jacob Carraz that really helps them out of their back end with the Doggies there. So they like to shift to their edges really early. They love to move mobile, big forward packs around a little bit. They found that like the easy way to get over the Broncos was very similar. And we've just seen, like, you know, our edge defense that hasn't been the best this year at all. So I'm sure the Doggies will definitely attack us there. And I totally agree. Like, you know, someone like Josh Adokar, when the ball goes to the ground, we saw that in the Dolphins game. Luckily, you know, the Dolphins had the Hammer and Herbie Farnworth to chase them down. Unfortunately, we probably don't have anyone that's that quick in our side that's going to be able able to roll in, reel in Josh Adokar when he finds
Yeah.
the open field. So hopefully we don't see too much of that. Hopefully it goes very similar to the last game. I do think that it'll run very similar to what we did last game. I'm sure the boys will have their cues, their I's dotted and their cues up there. So I'm sure that the boys will go out there and defend really hard and hold them down their own end. But we got to watch those little areas like Josh Adokar on the wing and Stephen Crichton's leadership, Bronson Sherry's speed on the edge, William Mikikau's presence on the edge. They got a little bit of strike there, the Dogs, coming up this weekend. So and they want to spoil Sean's party. I reckon they want to come over and spoil Sean's party for sure.
Well, you're talking about moving to the edges real quick. Like, I know I did that little video about AFB and him being in so many tackles, almost 4 tackles and being moved around to different spots. I mean, that's where I think we could get caught out if they do start shifting the ball. And I think a lot of teams are doing that in the modern game. They're shifting the ball from anywhere because they know they can move those big forwards around. So, yeah, I think we just got to be really for me, like first contact, like in the tackle has to be solid. We haven't really seemed to really slow the ball down enough this year. I know we kind of do compress and kind of have big, how when we do a kick and they catch it on their 5, we tackle them. Then we kind of do a wave of tackles off the first and second to try and force them back. I think that's great, but I also think we need to like make sure that we hold them up. And not so much just come, because I see Barnett flies in sometimes and it's a strong tackle, but sometimes we just need to like make sure it's a solid. We can wrestle them a bit more, give us a bit more time to set up our edges in case they do early shifts. So any time for me is like you just got to be really solid in the tackle because we start off really good and then you see it breaks down after maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. You start to see a few openings happen. So I'm just thinking we need to be really solid. Sorry, man, you got some stuff, stats there as well.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. Jacob Kraz does actually top the run meter rate. So, that's their one worker. But other than that, you notice their back end when they had someone like a Blake Wilson. I just don't want to double check that because that must only just happened recently over the weekend because from memory, I thought that Brian Toto I even thought that Adam Fanor-Blake was pretty close up there as well. I think that's more post-contact meters. So, but yeah, a strong runner there. But Josh Adokar's not known to do that hard yards out of the back end. A lot of the times it's very easy to pick him up and drive him back. It's probably a lot harder these days. He's put pack on the muscle on. But if we're going from backline battle to put us in a good field position, I got our boys definitely tenfold on them. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. As I said before, what fills me with a little bit of confidence is the way we ran out that last game against the Dogs. The feeling that was in that game. It just really shows that maybe the boys just took that up a notch. Why that hadn't been for the majority of the season, I'm not too sure. But the energy and the feeling in that game was really, really high. Whether that was because Serraldo and Webby, I'm not too sure. But, coming into this game, I'm sure that Webby should be able to get these boys up for this contest, especially for Shawnee's last game at home.
Well, it's weird. I think it'd be nice for Webby to get one now over Serraldo in this season. I think it does add to your following season. Like we did the double on the Bulldogs last year, and I suppose they've come in with intent to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So maybe for me it'd be nice to get one again over Serraldo, so he doesn't feel like super confident that he can get the Warriors. Leave little things in the brain for next season. Like for me as a fan, like the Titans scare me now. Like what the 66 points, like I'm scared to see them next season, even though they may not be like top of the league next year. It still terrifies you a little bit. You know what I mean?
From memory, bro, with the Titans, it's a weird one because there was a point I think it was before COVID time or around that COVID time where it shifted, but we were actually one of the best sides beating the Titans. Like we had such good success against the Titans. I think Sean Johnson had the highest win rate against the Titans out of any player in the competition. I think there was a stat out there running that. And that shifted around COVID time. And for some reason, it just felt like a tough place for us to win. Like I remember they beat us like a 50-point game in there, wasn't there? A 40 to 50-point game in there, 40-0 or something during that really harsh period of COVID that we're overseas and we were based overseas. Obviously, we got the nice win last year, but this year going 0-2 against the Gold Coast Titans. There's other teams in there, like the Broncos are 0-2 against the Gold Coast Titans this year too. So the Gold Coast Titans
it just leaves a little mental scar, it
does though, right?
It does leave you with a bit of a scar, and you gotta front up next year.
It's like Melbourne every year, right? It's Melbourne every year.
I think the one time that they Titans beat us, can anyone recall this? Maybe you might recall. Might have been 2010. They beat us in a finals game. It was actually really disappointing. Was it a
Mm.
finals game? The one year they made the finals, I can't remember, but it felt as though they got us in one of those games as well. So,
Yeah, I think the only years they made the finals, 2007, I'm pretty sure was one of their best years. That
oh
was Scotty
yeah,
Prince and Preston Campbell and stuff like that. So whether it was then they got us, 2018 from memory, I think, or it was fairly recently. You know, they had that Patrick Herbert one, but my Titans is just clouded in between there. I'm sure they didn't
yeah.
make
It
too many
was in the
finals runs
20. I
from there,
think it was
but
the 2010 season. Might have been with
mm,
Maloney. I can't remember, but they did beat us in one of the final because I remember Nathan Friend was yeah, he was on that team against us. If anyone in the chat can remember, or if I'm just it was a dream, maybe it was maybe it was a nightmare. Uh, um, hopefully it was. But yeah.
hopefully.
Um, okay, my man. Yeah, I think we had a really good chat. I think we still got to do our combined as well.
Shoot over.
Anything in the chat you've seen that you want to touch on? I know there's a lot going on there.
No,
Anything
I saw a couple
standing
of
out?
things on Bunty Afoa. If anyone, I'm pretty sure people are asking it. Haven't heard any news on Bunty Afoa? I know the rumors went around of him, leaving us, which I've heard those too. But has he got a club yet? Is there any rumors on that yet?
I'm not too sure, but Punter, I can see you in the chat there. Are you one of the are you leaking information? Are you an insider?
What's going on, Punter?
Is this a burner account? I haven't like I know Warriorholics. I've seen some of his videos and he mentioned it that Bunty was kind of I didn't really hear he requested an early release to join the Eels. Does he suit the Eels just quickly? As a kind of hypothetical.
I see. I heard the Gold Coast Titans. Like that was my first team that I heard for Bunty Afoa. But yeah, the Parramatta could probably like I know they're pushing out RCG and a couple other prop forwards, so maybe they can pull in some prop forwards as well. And yeah, I'd say yeah. If the Cowboys were looking at Jazzy, I'd probably say they're probably looking at Bunty as well, being Todd Payton, previously being at the club too. So
exactly.
could be some options. But I haven't heard any rumors yet on where he's going, if he is going anywhere. But let us know, guys, in the chat if you do see anything while we're live. Yeah, obviously, live, you can't see it.
Shout out ISO Masters. Yeah, it was back when Aaron Hermara scored against the Titans in the finals game we lost. Yeah, that was I can't remember. That was 2010, I think. It was a bad one. Like they got us good that day, unfortunately. But yeah, after that, I think we've been pretty good against the Titans. But yeah, like I just go back to quickly on that point. Yeah, love to leave. I think Serraldo and Webby will be a little side battle in the NRL over the next couple of years. Like how you had Bellamy and Bennett, and like Bennett's record's not very good against Bellamy or whatever. I think this is one of those lower tier ones where it's Serraldo versus Webby. Like they'll be going on for the next couple of years, at least while Webby's here with us. So I think it's important to get one over them. But just for the fans, I think everyone that's going to be there, it's another sellout. The fans deserve a home win.
Yeah, I totally agree, bro. I think that this could be wishful thinking, but I honestly think that you probably got Ivan Cleary. Wayne Bennett's 70 something years old, so however long he's got in the game, he's probably going to go forever until he passes away. Shout out to old Wayne Bennett. But out of those two, Craig Bellamy's still got a little bit in the game, but then you'll probably go Webby, Hasler's probably up there as well. But Webby and Serrano, out of that new crop of coaches, will probably be the new 1 and 2 coming up. Kind of like if you look at the Premier League, and now I know bounce around the Premier League quite a bit, but like Pep Guardiola had it with Jurgen Klopp, and now Arteta's come up as well, and he's doing the same sort of thing. So I can see a similar thing in the future if obviously Webby continues to improve, because I've seen a lot of good things out of Webby. I know a lot of people are probably swaying both ways about Webby at the moment due to this year, but I think that him and Serrano got amazing futures to be the 1 and 2 coach in the competition, like the new coaches on the come up. So I totally agree. I think that that's going to be a really good battle for the future, and especially if it's going to be the Warriors versus the Doggies. Really excited to see how that goes in the future, bro.
Yeah, man. No, looking forward to it. Okay, man. Let's get into this combined 17. Look, we'll start off with Chanel versus Connor Tracy. I'm probably going to say Connor Tracy's had a really good run with them. I haven't watched him a lot, but I know Connor's been pretty good for the Bulldogs this year. Chan's not the same level of what he was last year. I know he's probably a little bit nicked up, and it's tough to only the really, really greats can do multiple seasons back to back. But I just think he's been a little bit a little bit off. Where do you sit on this one, bro?
Ooh, and quickly, Addy's becoming a Waz Up TV member.
Hey,
Appreciate you, Addy's. Thank you so much for coming through and joining the crowd members. Let's go. You'll be able to unlock all your emotes and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This is my actual auntie, guys. This is my wife's auntie, her mum's sister. So Auntie Eddie's been, like I talked about, she's been an OG from day dot. Like I said, there's those videotapes of preseason Warriors games, like 1994, 95. She's an OG from way back, and Auntie Eddie's a big supporter of all the of the Warriors, of us, of the channel. She supports all of the content creators, So shout out to Auntie. Just I don't know a lot of you already knew that. I know Ash knew that, but just for those that see Eddie's one, that's Auntie Eddie's.
Shout out, Auntie. Shout out, Auntie. You're a beast. Thank you so much. And supporting the boys. Love that. Love that.
And Jacko, you're welcome, man. Jacko, you're welcome as always, bro. We'll be arguing till the end of time, but you're more than welcome, brother. Anytime you want.
All right, bro. Back to the fullback battle. So for me, I'm going to take the way of Chance. I understand, Chancey's definitely had probably an off year this year, right? But I'm saying, as a fullback, Chancey's obviously been to a grand final. I think Chancey is a little bit more consistent at the fullback position. I think Connor Tracy's had a great year this year. But before this, people were really wondering where Connor Tracy's best position was. He played a little bit of six coming up. He was a halfback coming into grade, played center at the Sharkies. The Sharkies let him go. And I think the Doggies have done so well to put him in that fullback jersey. And he's definitely helped that club, tenfold coming in that jersey, playing them so direct, comparatively to Blake Taff, who they had there before. Blake Taff plays him a little bit too sideways out the back of shape, where Connor Tracy, he just loves to run the ball. So obviously he directs the attack a little bit more down that edge. But I think that obviously Chancey runs 4 more meters for sure. Chancey's in the contest a lot more than what I see Connor Tracy. So I'm swaying the way of Connor Tracy, of Chance Nickel Kostak. But it's probably going to be a little bit closer, more years to come, obviously, with Connor Tracy getting better and better in that fullback position. But what do you reckon, bro? Are you stuck on Connor Tracy, or you sway a little bit?
I'll go with you. I just want to ask you, what do you think Connor's been good for the Bulldogs? Is it stability? Or just he brings an energy? You feel he just kind of, I suppose he hasn't been blowing him out the park, but he's been kind of like a solid. He's kind of got the Luke Patton look going on at the moment.
He's very much like General, bro. He's very much like the General.
Yeah, I was thinking like General, yeah.
He goes out there, bro. He plays, as I said before, seeing the difference between, the attacking sets of the Doggies with Blake Taff out back and then having Connor Tracy out back. I think it's the hard work. He's very similar to, what we have with Chance and what the Panthers have with Dylan Edwards. Is just a hard-working fullback that's in the grind completely, every part of the game. He's not going to shut himself off. But when he attacks down those edges, as I said, he kind of he's a bit more of a straighter line. If you watch a lot of Blake Taff, I think he likes to beat the players on the outside, but he cuts off a lot of space from his outside men, where Connor straightens things up a little bit and obviously, causes the gaps to open up on the outside due to being so straight and being a run-first sort of fullback. So he's been really good. And I love that little comparison of a Luke Patton. He's probably not Luke Patton yet, but Luke Patton was the General, bro. He went out there, did his job, and he was always in contests. They got a similar player type of Connor Tracy.
Yeah, the General, man, absolutely. He was good. That was a golden era too. I mean,
he was.
I remember the battles we had with the Bulldogs at that era. So, and Patton was there. Hey, man, I'm with you. I'll stick with C&K. Della versus, so Della's right. Yeah, is Carraz right side too? Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Della versus Carraz. What have you got there?
See, if you go on finishing ability, I got Dell. probably most other areas, I'd probably sway the way of Karaz. As we just touched on before, Karaz leading competition for run meters at the moment. So obviously the hard work out of the back end, he'll do very similar things to what Dallin will do for us. Defensively, I think they're both very similar. So I'm probably swaying the way of Karaz. Karaz still very young in his competition and that as well, but shout out to Dal. I think Dal is probably slept on for a lot of people. I know both our wingers do get questioned quite a bit. I think Dal is one of the best wingers in the competition. I'll probably say he's in that top 10 range or whatever. But I'll also say that Jacob Kraz is within that top 10 range of winger at the moment, and probably just edges out Dallin. So I'll probably go Kraz, bro.
Yeah, I gotta go with Kraz, man. I think he's, again, sometimes you favor the guys that are in a better playing squad. But I do value what Dallin brings. I don't think you can find anyone that does a more harder hit up on a return. And it does a lot. Like him and Montoya, when they do that 1-2 hit up, it does set you up for the next. The set being a good set. And there's no doubt that we've been strong out of yardage because of those two. So, but yeah, I just probably give it Carraz if he is the top of the thing for yardage. But he's probably benefiting from being a part of a good team as well.
Being the main man from the back end for the doggies, right? Like as we touched on before, when you look at Blake Wilson, Josh Adokar, they're not doing the muchest work rate, so the work rate has to be shifted a lot on Jacob Kraz. So that's probably why the run meter sways away. But he runs obviously really hard. He's got really good tackle break ability. Consistently, he's a bigger body, probably a little bit better defensively. From what I've seen, probably not a lot better, but he's a little bit better. So obviously the dog has been one of the better defensive sides in the competition. So I'm going to go Jacob Kraz.
Yeah, cool. Hey, just quick shout out to Philly Kid 420 from America. You got the United States flag there, man. We salute you, sir. Welcome to New Zealand and Australia.
Do not rewind to what we said to you before.
Yeah. Hey, Kurt Fleming, thank you, sir.
Kurt Fleming.
Yes, beautiful.
Thank you so much, my bro.
Yeah, I know Kurt's been in the chats comments as well. Shout out to you, Kurt. Just quickly, we'll have a little break. Me and you were deciding on the tiers. There's if you become a member after a month, all of that stuff. Just in the chat as well, guys. What do you think? I was thinking more of following, if you're 1 month, you're Harold Matts. You're 2 months, you're SG Ball, and then if you're after 3 years, you're like an immortal, and then you're God tier, you're a universe or whatever. So, what do you think that's the route that we should go with our tiers of? Because I know we've just had all members today, and we've had ones that nearly been here for a week. So I imagine once they get to a month, they need to be acknowledged for that next level. What are you thinking, Ash?
Yeah, help us out, guys. Chuck it in the chat what you reckon. I was worried about doing the Harold Batson stuff, how to do that properly without being copyrighted or stealing obviously their logos and stuff like that. Uses our logos and that. But I'll figure something out there because I really love that idea. I think that was a really cool one. As I said, you could probably go rookie into your go up to your Hall of Famer, then go to immortal. But guys, if you got any other ideas, maybe players that maybe could resemble your god tier, so maybe start up as a Charlie Gubb and then move on to right, move up your tiers and get up to.
I was,
who would be number one? You know what I mean?
So who's played one game for the you could go like that, like Charlie Gubb. The other one I was thinking, if we actually look through the Warriors' history and see who's made 25 games, who's made 50 games,
we could do that.
Yeah, and then that could be that tier. You're made the Charlie Gubb tier. Welcome to Charlie Gubb level,
That'd be amazing, bro.
And then Mannering will obviously be the God tier. Once you
the
become
number
Mannering,
one tier.
Yeah, you're at Mannering level. Welcome to the Simon Mannering tier, But that'd be interesting too. I think there might be a bit more fun than maybe Harold Matts and SG Ball, but I like both.
I like both, bro. I like both. But guys, chuck in the chat what you reckon. Maybe in the future we'll end up doing a little poll or whatever. We'll try and do something like that. But yeah, chuck in the chat what you reckon. Ali, let's
that's a fair argument too. So we might have to do a goat chat, a Warriors goat chat as well. I know Ali's up there for a lot of people, and
Ali's a freak.
So
Ruben
yeah,
Wiki too. You have a
you could do
Ruben Wiki maybe thing.
you could do like you could do you're a captain, like a Steve Price, or yeah, you can do this. Maybe we'll think about that, but let us know if anything else pops in the chat. We'll be open to that as well.
100%.
Okay, so let's get to left center. So it's Sherry versus Pompey. Yeah, that's
Sherry
right.
versus Pompey.
For me, Sherry's just been. I've enjoyed watching him. He's been. I love his run style. His gain, his actual running style. It's just so powerful. When you see him and Foxborough on an edge, break open, it looks deadly. And actually he's good in sometimes his defensive work's pretty solid. Like the one that still terrifies me isn't the Tamaide hit on Jamin Salmon. It was actually Cherry saving the try from Halasima. If Leke had gone over, we probably would have won that game. Like and he pulled off an amazing tackle. I just think he's got that about him. He's a smart footy player. I gotta go Sherry there. What about you, man?
Yeah, I agree, bro. I got to go Bronson Xerri, especially after the seasons he's had this season. We think back to maybe when he first hit the competition. He was one of the best young centers in the competition. Looked absolutely amazing. Now coming back after a really long layoff, obviously, well deserved. If you're going to get done for what you got done for, He did the time. He came back. He rid his wrongs. He's come back in really good form. I learned under the Serrato system, defensively really strong. A really quick center as well. Like his speed is really like unassuming. Obviously working with Roger Fabry. So him and Fox on that side are really damaging with the speed they use. So I'm going to sway away at Bronson Xerri. Love Pompey, love the work he gets through on that, but I'd say Pompey's a good tier of center, where I think Sherry's got the potential to go probably a little bit past that at the moment. So yeah, Bronson Xerri.
Yeah, Sherry there for me as well. Just quickly, a side note: did you think Pompey should have kicked the goals? Or is his leg? Is it his leg? His kicking leg? Maybe it was his kicking leg. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just thought it was. Yeah, I was
there's a
wondering
couple
why
of
Metcalf.
things we can go off here, bro.
And and actually not against Metcalf because missing that kick. It's not reflected. I'm just thinking of going into that game why they chose Metcalf over Pompey. What's your thoughts?
I think that looking to start the season, bro, when Shawnee couldn't kick early on the season due to obviously now it's come out that he had hampered injury. Luke Metcalf was our first choice goal kicker.
Yep.
Going back to the Cup, I think he's played with Tane Tuapiki, and I still think that Luke Metcalf was our first choice goal kicker down at Cup as well. So obviously he's got the confidence and wants to be the main goal kicker of the club. But yeah, obviously seeing the miss, I put my hands up. I think that honestly was our commentator's curse. If you did watch the live stream, Ash was boasting about his sideline conversions in New South Wales Cup. But yeah, I think that's really what it came down to, my brother. But both are really good options, and both were our preferred options before we got to where we got to later on in the season, where we're down fifth choice kicker. But yeah.
Because that might be a good thing if we do an off-season review as well, is do the tiered kickers, like who's your first tier and second, because I'm thinking now that if Metcalf's going to be the main kicker, you still kind of need a backup on the field to do some kicking. Would that warrant Pompey being on the field, or is it too picky? And let's say Leatoa beats out Pompey, and Metcalf is the only kicker. Do you just run the risk of just having Metcalf as the sole kicker and then maybe trying to think who else can kick?
Would be running pretty short then, bro. Honestly, the only other option would be going back to Chanel if Chanel's running that 14th man or something like that. But, coming into this game, right, if we didn't have Adam Pompey, if we had Ali Leatoa, and we only had, Shawnee can definitely kick, but let's say just Shawnee's leg doesn't work anymore. Coming next season. That's definitely a good thing to think about, bro. And Tane's got that in his bag as well.
Well, that's what I was saying. If they move forward with say Tane at full, it just kept these are ideas, guys. But for me personally, I would like to have at least two kickers on the field, so that gives Pompey a little bit of, an option. Jacko just saw Jacko say there that CHT, if he's at the 6th, that's actually a good point too. So you might just go with Metcalf and CHT, and then you have Leatoa and Berry and your centers, and you don't have to worry about Tuapiki and Pompey, but something to consider, I'd say.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably other players at the club that can goal kick, but obviously with the lineup, we have a hierarchy in the system. Like,
Yep.
obviously Metcalf's our first choice with Shawnee, then Sean, then Adam Pompey, then, going down those lists. The other players aren't really practicing their goal kicking within those terms unless they're doing it for fun on the outside world. And, when it comes to time, they can step up. Tane's obviously the next guy that we all know that has that kicking boot in him. And whether maybe he gets a shot on a bench the way, like, the Melbourne Storm maybe were looking at using Fa'alongo before, obviously, they dropped him off the bench, or maybe we can run a small bench with a Tane Tuapiki at 14 for if that moment happens. But again, that's probably it's definitely a good thing to think about, my bro. I haven't put a lot of thought into that, to be honest. I think just hoping Luke Metcalf has a full injury-free season would be good. But after the season we've had this year, that's definitely a good thought to have.
We'll do that in the off season. We'll do some depth charts and see how that might fit. There might be guys in cup that can kick as well, or we might there might be like Mitch Barnett. I genuinely might. I see in the chat there, like Naz said, maybe get 4 or 5 guys to practice some kicking. Wouldn't mind that guy, that rugby bricks guy, or even Halligan should be training these guys up technically. But would like to see them. And that Tahi's just said about Halligan, but would like to see maybe a plan in place. Like if you're doing an off-season review and you've come to the realization that CHT, was put in a bad spot, and I mean injuries were really bad, but how can you put in systems in the off-season to kind of keep goal kicking up? Because goal kicking, whether people want to admit it or not, it actually impacted some of our games. So
it has.
So you got to in the off-season equate for that and add that part of your program, that you want to improve your goal kicking by X amount percent, and you want an X amount of goal kickers to be available. That's just another thought.
Yeah, whether that's maybe an option to keep Adam Pompey within the lineup, I'm not too sure. We'll definitely do more chats on that in the future with our preferred lineups next year and stuff like that. But definitely a good exercise to do, because it's definitely an option that we need to think about, because goal kicking is fairly important in the game. Obviously, we don't want to have to rely on it to be the sole thing to win this game. Hopefully, we win games by 6 to 8 to further points on. But obviously, seeing this year how close the competition is, those certain kicks definitely had changed the trajectory of our season, with a lot of other performances, but it had been the big key for us there. So good thoughts.
Cool, man. Now we're going into the right centers. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck versus Stephen Crichton. I think this is kind of a simple one for me. I'm definitely going to go Crichton, but I think, what do you, in your opinion, Ash, has Webby gone back to RTS because of injuries, or is he still pushing him as a genuine center option?
To be honest, bro, this has been the one thing I've been baffled about through this season, towards more so the end of the season. I thought that he did really well to kind of stick at home and say he's going to be our center. We're just going to continue trying to persevere. And injuries have been the main thing for him to switch to fullback and to wing in those those times. But he was always going to find himself back in that center position. But when I heard him in that press conference to say he was giving thought to him being a winger, and then I'm pretty sure within that week we saw him in the wing, I thought that, we even came on live and we put our hands up. We're like, all right, he's a winger now. We're going to run him in the wing. And he probably has more preferable attributes for a winger there too, to probably be a better winger than maybe what he could have been a center. I'm not too sure, but I'm guessing that Webby's gone back to, what he's planned for the season, and maybe injuries were the reason why he ended up pushing Roger out to that wing. We had better centers to really fill in those spots than maybe what we had wingers, right? And when we really got down to our winger core, I think Ed Gossi might have been out for that little period there as well. Setu 2 wasn't in our top 30. He got elevated to top 30, but we didn't get to see him in first grade. So Roger getting pushed out to that wing position maybe was the option to bring in Ali Leota, who came back off injury, to come play into that lineup, or Adam Pompey over the weekend that we saw. So I'm probably swaying the way of maybe the full plan is still Roger at center, and he only swayed because of injury. But I think I pointed out at the start of the season, it's probably the one thing I can really pin down to Webby this year is I kind of wish that we just stuck with Roger at center and just went with it. Just continue to go through it, even though the fans didn't want it anymore. I just wish it just continued on, because we didn't get to see him to hold down that spot and really showed that he's learning that ability. I think he's played a lot of good center in that right side center role, and we've seen a lot of good ability there. But I think that has come down to consistent time in that center position, which we probably should have got within that middle part to later part when he came back of injury. So I'd probably say he's gone back on Rogers as center, and we're going to run with him at center, and that's our best lineup there. But what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm confused just as much as you, man.
Yeah,
I know we've had, we've been, we've pulled up the stats. We've convinced ourselves that he was a center, and when he went to exactly like you said, when he went to wing, we accepted that too. And then he's had his opportunities at fullback and caused questions and division there
about that. Yeah,
and it just confuses me. And I don't blame Roger in the situation, but yeah, like you said, I would have appreciated if Webby had committed to the one idea from the start, and even if it was wing or center, just stick to that. I feel the moving and changing has impacted not only Roger but just the whole squad, and I think that's one thing where if I'm Webby, you got to take account for that, that those decisions, and yeah, it just kind of left me a little bit confused and probably questioning Webby more than Roger. About the situation, because I think Webby's in some ways trying to accommodate Roger, but at the same time putting him in bad spots, and kind of ruining his successfulness at a return. So, like you said, if he'd stayed at center, he might have figured it out and got to where he needed to. Or if he'd stayed at wing, he might have, done really solid at that. I just feel like it's like a mixed bag of just ineffectiveness and just inconsistency, and it's had its toll in a way that I think.
See, I also like just thinking about it off the top of my head, we did go through that major injury crisis to where at one point we didn't have Tane and CNK, so he had to play fullback in one of those positions, right? We had to get put in that position there. And then I think there was a point this year where, Chance came back, and then when Chance fell out, Tane was the second choice fullback. We've seen that a couple of times this year. It wasn't Roger straight away put in that fullback position. So maybe we should take into account a little bit more to where the cattle that Webby had, to where he probably had to make that decision to push Roger out there. It just, I kind of I like we all do, I kind of wish that we just stuck with it. But again, it's probably my one big query over Webby this year was I wish he kind of stuck with it and went all the way through. But then again, just looking at just thinking on top of my head, the amount of injuries that he had to switch and change. We had our back line completely get debilitated against the Doggies. Remember that line up there? And then we came in, going to that Roosters game, he was out with injury, so he couldn't be played his position. So we had a whole new back line in that position there too. So again, there is a slight question there. I don't think Webby, if we had a full squad, he'd be switching around Roger the way we thought he would. I think he probably would have stuck him at center. But with injuries started to hit, it probably would have been nicer to maybe see if we could look at other options. I'm not too sure, but I'm guessing with an experienced piece like Roger, he put a lot of trust that Roger would just figure it out and get it done. We'll just move on to the next week. And obviously next week became another week with injuries, another week of injuries. You know what I mean? So that's the other side of it. You know what I mean? That's the opposite side of the argument there too. So there's two ways to look at it, but next year we'll soon see how, if we learnt from that experience.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree, man. But yeah, Crichton just been absolutely awesome. And you think of a
center in the game,
and you think of it, definitely overall. And you think of a center captain. I'm trying to think of center captains in the past. He might stand out as the only one that's kind of been a real and he's a good captain for them. A solid captain that motivates and pushes them to go to the next level. So no,
Marcelo Montoya, bro. Marcelo Montoya was a captain from the wing, remember? Captain from the wing, baby. Marcelo Montoya.
You start doing too many captain's challenge from the wing. No, I didn't knock it on. And the minute you lose your challenge. Remember, was it wingers and props? I remember Gus Gould was saying, do not let wingers and props call for your captain's challenges because they'll just lose them.
Hey, and still week in, week out, bro, I still see the NRL, the props and wingers still do the challenges all the time, bro.
Yeah, hard up. Cool, man. Let's go into left wing. Marcelo Montoya versus Josh Adokar.
Yeah.
Far out.
It's probably going to be a doggy's backline, isn't it?
Yeah,
Other than CNK.
it just is, and it's a solid unit, and I got to give it to them. But he's just been really, yeah, he's just really been solid, and the speed, like I said, Sherry and Adokar just scares the hell out of me, and yeah, but I got to give it to Adokar for me.
What I would say though, right? Like when we see this lineup the way it is, I think this is all individual ability. I think that as a team unit, our backline works better to get us into good field position, where this unit here is probably better at their like the finishing touches, maybe. Like,
Yeah,
we see the
touches.
speed with Fox and Sherry, Critter and Karaz. But when we saw them play each other last time, when we played the Dogs last time, I thought our backline dominated, like, getting us into good field position. And when we lost that is when we kind of struggled a little bit. So I don't think we're too far off, but I think we're taking the extra little point over the top was the speed with Fox and Sherry. I think that's definitely an added plus with those boys there. Karaz was probably more of like, that was probably a really good 50-50 with him and Dallin. But Karaz does a very similar thing to what our back two do and get us in a great field position. And you can't go past Critter as the number one center. If he's not number one, he's number two, right? Joey Manu probably have around up there, but I'd probably have Critter maybe over Manu at the moment too. So yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Okay, let's get into our halves here. Luke Metcalf, Sean Johnson, Matt Burton, and Toby Sexton. It's an interesting one because, form-wise, Sean, but I'd say Sean going into this game, you probably have him in there. Burton, I've got to give him credit for his long kicking. Sexton's been pretty good too. I put Burton in there. I'm not sure on the other one. Maybe Sean or Metcalf. Where would you go for that, bro?
I would go Burton and Sean Johnson. Just leaning on Sean Johnson with, like, I know he's not been an informed player this season, but I still go back to, like, we just know that the halfback that he is going out there, if he was fully healthy, ready to go, he's probably the best half out of the lot here. And then Burton would probably be my second choice. And then Metcalf, because he's a lot younger, probably, he's got very similar. He's got potential there, Luke Metcalf, to be just as good as obviously Birdo and stuff like that, in my opinion, I believe. But at the moment, Birdo's, he's won a premiership. He's done what he's done at fullback at 5'8". He's got a massive kicking game. Shawnee there too. I think that Sean Johnson, Birdo is probably the preferred halves at the moment. But if you're looking at this season, you could probably go Birdo, Luke Metcalf. But right now, Sean Johnson, Birdo's for me.
Yeah, man. I'm happy with that too. I think they would go well. Now the forwards, the props: AFB, Mitch Barnett, Josh Curran, and Samuel Hughes. Just quickly before we make a decision, how has Josh Curran and Sam Hughes done so well, or whoever's their normal prop rotation? I don't even know. I don't even know who Sam Hughes is, but no doubt their forwards have been so good for them that they're in the position that they are in right now. You've got to acknowledge some of their props. I'd say we'd probably go AFB and Barnett for us personally, but Curran and Hughes, they must be doing something right. What can you put it down to, bro?
Well, their actual preferred starting is Curran and Max King, who
Max King,
I'm pretty sure is named in reserves as well. I'm cool. I've kind of fallen off the Sam Hughes sort of train at the moment. I think big body and stuff like that, like he does a lot of up and down work, but I like their small forward pack with Max King and Josh Curran. And we've spoken about this a little bit off air and that, but I'm really coming around to, I think the new age of rugby league is coming around to, and I think a lot of people have spoken about this, but smaller front row forwards, like smaller middle forwards, but mainly for defensive work. And I think that's the key area. As we know, with the Doggies this season, defensively, they've been so strong. But, when I cast my eye over our forward pack and we got a couple of big boppers there that, defensively, they're not as mobile as what probably a lot of people think. They get through a ton of work in times, but sometimes they slack off for a little bit, and that's what causes a lot of our edge defense problems, in my opinion. A lot of the best teams in the competition, you look at, the Roosters don't have the biggest pack in the world with Hargraves and Lindsay Collins. You look at, the Panthers up the top with Leota and Fisher Harris. Like they're not like huge. They're not Nelson size. They're not like Payne Haas size. They're none of that. But they work so well defensively because they do all the little things. They move. They keep moving their feet. I touched on you like the
Yep.
Queensland Maroons. I know we lost this year, but the reason why the Blues have struggled with the Maroons in the past, especially goal line defense, is due to our smaller, more mobile pack that, defensively, we move our feet continuously. So as soon as you guys go sideways, our boys just continue to move. You come back on the inside, they cut off that space so quickly, comparatively to a bigger prop that finds time to rest in the middle of things and causes gaps and don't tie in with their edge back rollers. So I think that's the reason why they've been so good. Like, we've known Josh Curran as a really high worker for what we had last year. He's doing exactly the same thing for the Dogs, and full credit to him.
Yeah, man. No, I think there's some value to it, and that's why I think we talked about it and full credit about a time where we'll get JFH and it'll be a smaller front line. It could be JFH and Barnett, and that might move better than AFB and Barnett defensively at least. And
yeah,
but yeah, I agree. We'll probably go AFB and Barnett for front, like actual front rowers. Max, say if Max King was in there, would you put Max above a Barnett or a AFB, or still would you go Barnett? Yeah.
I still go Barnett and AFB, but as a collective, like, as you kind of just touched on, like, that's why I'm really excited for next year. I'm a little bit more positive next year, even though the year that we've had, like, I think when we go back to something, a more team-based front row pack of, Barnett and Fisher Harris, that's going to be a little bit more defensive-minded.
Yep.
Our best key part of our game this year was our, work to get into good field position. Our worst key part of our game this year has been our defense and a lot of line breaks and, like, team switching off, and a lot of that comes from our middle. So I think that Fisher will lift that area for us, and I don't think he'd be that much of a loss of an added for All Blake. Like, before Fisher Harris got injured, he had 3 games in a row of 180 plus run meters in those 3 last games before that groin injury. So he picked up that run meterage. He'll still do a ton of work in the middle, but defensively he'll be rock solid. But with saying that, it'd be Barnett and AFB for me, my bro, for sure.
It just looks different, right? Like, guys get their meters in different ways. Like AFB, it's more pronounced. It's footwork. But like you said, JFH can get his meters differently as well. So yeah, and sometimes it's 4th tackle hit up. Like, some guys were merchants for 4th tackle hit ups. Like I don't know. I can't really think, but there's some guys that just love a 4th tackle hit up because that defensive line softened up. Remember there was a kind of argument with Bunty. He was doing all the first and second tackle hit-ups, and then AFB was getting those monster 4th tackle hit-ups, and it was kind of messing with Bunty's numbers a little bit. There's some, not every tackle is equal in terms of potential yardage. So yeah, I agree with you there.
And I've kind of lost the whole like thought of like, big body forwards are going to be the one that take over the like you look at teams like that have been fairly up and down. I know the Sharkies are in top 4 currently right now, but if you actually look at their forward back, they're a very big forward
big
pack.
size.
Like Hemunuele, Thomas Hazelton, I've spoken about this before. I think them adding Fanor Blake may not be as big of a plus as what they hope it is. I think he's going to be incredible individually. He may get him a spot extra, but as a premiership threat, I don't think he adds that much as what they kind of hope he will. And like, it just like, we've seen teams like the Tigers, when they run Clemmer and Stefano Otikamano in the middle, it's probably their worst lineup because defensively they just switch off in the middle and they just line break central. We saw the Titans game, they ran that 2 prop combination and just the laziness in behind the ruck was really, really poor. And you're starting to see like the Titans, when they had their best, moments this year, they actually had Chris Randall play in the front row with Aaron Clark and a lot of a smaller prop. The doggies are the best part of that, bro. Like Curran, Kurt Mann in the middle, Bailey Hayward in the middle. Like they're a small forward pack, but they still defensively hold in. And they may get dominated sometimes in the run meter rate, but like they just continue to move. And throughout the whole game, they end up breaking apart a big forward pack. So, that's just my thoughts anyway.
I think there's an argument too. Like, for example, the stat against us is like teams score a try within 8 tackles.
Yeah.
Like, there's something to do with that. It's either tackle technique or it's guys that aren't moving their feet or, you know what I mean? But then, probably look at a team like the Dogs, they probably leak a try 1 in every 20 tackles. I don't know. Like, so you got like, even though they may get dominated, I know that people in the chat are talking about they may get dominated, but if the statistics are in your favor that you're leaking a try every 3 sets, as opposed to us who are leaking a try every 1 set, pretty much. That tells you that you've got the you're the better team, and obviously in the long run, it might be better, more beneficial. But then there's games that you'll just get dominated by a big pack. Like, that's why I think about the Bulldogs. They might just get found out by a blimmin' Roosters or or Penrith or whoever.
I see. Even then, bro, like,
yeah.
When saying that, bro, like, you look at the Roosters pack, like, they're not as big as what people think they are. Like, Lindsay Collins is not a massive front rower. Like, their biggest prop they have is probably, like, thinking of size and weight, is Spencer Leniu coming off the bench, but he's not actually a massive prop. Like, he's a ball of muscle, but he'll go for like 20 minutes, come off. Like, Terrell May hasn't got a lot of weight to him. Like, the biggest prop, like, room I think that's in the competition would be around that Sharkies, maybe would be around the Tigers if we're going weight-wise. Like, you look at the Panthers, they're not a big forward pack at all. Like, they're not even close to it. Fisher Harris is an edge-back roller that came into the middle. Like, Isaiah Yeo played center at one stage just, like, in his career, and he's moved into the middle. Like, I think the new age of rugby league has gone away from those big boppers that just, like, run up and down and, make the meterage. I think when you look at tackle tech, when you're a little bit smaller body, you get probably a little bit better of, like, a, hit under the ball range, stuff like that.
Sure.
Just looking at, like, you look at the Manly Seagulls, when they have their worst lineup, it's Taniela Paseka and in another big bopper that coming off the bench. Their best lineup is, for me, Nathan Brown and Jakey Trebojevic in the middle there and doing their work in the middle. Like, that's been where they found a lot of their consistency in the middle. So that's just, I don't know. That's the thing I'm pointing out this season is, like, the smaller props are actually not as bad as what people think. And the new age of rugby league is all your work rates coming out of your wingers anyway. Like, you see outside, our wingers and that lead most of our meters throughout the competition. We've been a game without Adam Fanor-Blake, and we still won the run meters over the Dolphins. Like, it like, shows that we're not losing anything, really.
A glaring one, like that Sharks pack. I kind of actually agree with you. I think they'll get rolled, like, in the finals. I just don't think they'll be able to keep up with other those top tier picks like you mentioned.
It's like mobile forward packs, bro. As soon as you start moving these big boys around, a lot of sides like Manly that go early shifts outside, you're moving a forward pack around. It's the whole point of, like, shifting early in those
do you
sets.
Do you think that's because of the sixer game? Because if you do get a big guy, there's more reward for you to move a big guy around, and then you get a sixer gain off of him, and then it just compounds. Like, so I'm thinking, like, a small pack like the Bulldogs, they could probably withstand.
Speeds quicker.
They could probably withstand 3 sixer gains. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it rewards them to have that smaller guy to give away if you keep getting sixer gains, you can withstand it. Where the teams that, for example, that first try that Manly got against us, they got 3 sixer gains, and I added up, it was 8 tackles.
Yep.
Total. And they scored. And that tells you something like that. We've got to turn that around next year somewhere. Well, we cannot go into the thing with, like, if you're knowing that you've got 2, if you hear sixer gain 2 or 3 times, the team's going to score. That's just, like, that's not sustainable. You know what I mean?
The biggest key example to that, bro, is, like, how many, like, you've watched our tape. How many times have you, I don't want to continue, like, to harp on, like, Adam's an amazing player and that, right? But how many times have you seen Adam Fanor-Blake, fall off a tackle and being flattened out? And how long does it take for him to even get back to marker, or he will just even stay out and just hold his hands up out of marker, right? How many times have you seen that? Multiple times, right? But you look at the Penrose Panthers, how many times have you seen Fisher Harris and that, like, get off their stomach so quick because they're a lighter body? Like, Ads is carrying 130 kilos. I just pulled his card the other day. He's a 130 kilo prop. You're looking at, like, Fisher Harris and that, they're about 110s and, like, lean 110s. Like, they're getting up so much quicker. They haven't got that 20 plus kilos on top of them. It may help in attack, getting you in field position, but when you got players like, Montoya 130 plus, Dallin 150 plus, Roger 200 plus if he wants to. Alvis and Rocco can get through a decent amount of work, or whoever else we chuck there. Ali, fullback of CNK, they can go 300 plus a day. Like, do we really need that added extra, 200 plus in the middle? You know what I mean? Like, where does that really get us when defensively we fall apart?
Yeah, total kgs would be a cool one to do. But actually, you got to credit Adam being 130 kgs.
Bro,
this guy is an absolute
beast.
Right? He's an absolute athlete, this guy. And I think he will go down. I know the way he's probably left is thing, but he'll go down as one of the best props the Warriors have had. Like just
He
ridiculous. The way he can
honestly
move
is,
that
bro.
mountain around.
And I like this is the whole thing is like I think the game's starting to move past guys like Ads now. Like he's incredible in attack. He'll get his run meters. He'll do all that sort of work. And statistically in defense, he doesn't miss solid tackles because when he makes contact in a tackle, he'll finish that tackle. But a lot of the big moments that we've seen with Adam Fanor-Blake this year is more of the moments of where he can't recover quick enough because he's not mobile enough to get across in those defensive moments. And there's gaps. Like there's a Titans try that I've showed Levon that many times where he's not closing in on that edge. And it's most of the time because he is doing a lot of work. You saw in your play today, he did like 4 tackles back to back to back. When you're 130 kilos doing that back to back to back, you know, that last effort, it's not going to be as best as your first effort. Where Fisher Harris being 110 and the leadership that he has in the middle, which is the biggest thing I'm excited for, his best asset is defensively. So he's going to get up and continue to go and go and go. That's what Curran does. That's what King do. And that's why the Doggies have been so good this year.
Do you think that's what, I know we guys were going a little bit off track here, but do you think that's why TPJ's been kind of released? Or, like, because TPJ for me, he's a massive unit, but you can only really use him on 4th tackle hit-ups. And like, I've seen him, they protect him in the defensive line. Like they'll move him out to an edge and he just rests up on the edge on the defensive set. And then he'll come back in the middle again. I'm like, how, you know, and I know he's moving on, but I was thinking that's just not sustainable in the modern game. But it's effective for like that 10 minutes because it can get you a try or a line break. It's just interesting, you know, like to see that guy's
new age of rugby league.
Yeah, it's nearly moved on from that guy, really. That type of style.
Like, you know, you look at the Melbourne Storm and the reason why they're sort of like, you know, limiting a lot of Nelson's minutes is because the new age of rugby league is really going towards that way. Like, you know, Stefano's incredible as well. But I was like looking at like, if I'm looking at props in a competition that I wanted at the Warriors, like when we had Fisher Harris, it's players like Griffin Neem, Leo Thompson that aren't massive body props, but their mobility is a lot better than what a lot of people think they are. Like it's the reason why, you know, the Cowboys want to keep Griffin Neem is because when they go to a smaller body prop, like the mobility for the middle defensively, they look a lot better there than what they do when they have someone like Tamalolo and you know McLean, who's a little bit older, right? Like I think the game's moving past that. Like, you know, attacking wise, incredible. If you're a team that struggles to get out of your own end, then Adam Fanor-Blake would be incredible for you. But if you're a side that like gets into your own end, like other end, like fairly well, you know, we use him as a try scorer, 100%. That's awesome. But like defensively, we need something that's probably a little bit more mobile. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. Actually, shout out to Nas. What was the year at Warriors bulked up massive on there? I think that 2002, they all looked like they were roided up. Remember the year? I don't know if you've watched tape, but like the Warriors, I don't know if it was the jerseys, but like the 01, 2000, they look kind of like skinny-ish. But then one year under Anderson, they looked like they were on roids. Like Stacey's chest, you know how Stacey's got that little like beast of a chest? He was like popping out. All of them were like on roids almost. But like that's what Nas was saying, that they'll get smoked today. They're probably right.
I can't remember which Instagram page it was, but there's a guy that does a lot of our jerseys. I think it's either NZ Jersey Hunter or there's a couple of them, but he ended up getting the Ruben Wiki jersey. And have you seen the way that's shaped? Like it's legit, like top end like this, it webs in and it's got the smallest hip line ever, right? It's like this, like
these guys
exactly what you thought.
It's Superman. I mean, Stacey's got that. He's got it for a little guy. He's got that kind of massive chest. But I just remember all of them: Torpy, Gutenbill. They all look like they were on the peptides before Flanagan.
Bro, yeah, exactly. Like, could you imagine this new, like, you remember that 2014 Doggies pack of like Cassiano, Frank Pritchard, like they would be eaten alive these days.
Cassiano, right? Bro. That was a cool era though. Like remember it was just like, it was wrestling era. Interchange, like 20 minutes. Yeah. And so it was like, I think it got to a point where it was like 12 interchange, because now it's down to 8, I think. But it was like 10 to 12 interchanges. And I think it was 10 interchanges. And internationals was 12 interchanges. That's why internationals are so slow back in that era. It was ridiculous. Like you could just pull these guys on for 5 minutes, come back off. You know, the Greg Eastwoods of the world, man. They have a bit of a gut, weight. You know,
the average weight on that forward pack is like 130 kilos. Like they were all like they were all massive.
Tony Williams is, although Tony was like when he went to the Bulldogs, I think at Manly he was a little bit smaller, right? But when he went to the
He
Bulldogs,
was, yeah. He started on the
he just
wing, bro. He
bulked.
started on the wing. He was a winger. It's like Francis Melly moving to the middle, bro.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Tony just blew up. But yeah, that was a pretty cool year. Pritchard,
It was.
Pritchard. I see Miz in the chat. Everyone, that was a good era. Okay, we haven't even got any. Okay, so
here we go, number 9.
Wade Egan versus Mahone.
Oh,
Marnie,
see, this
Marnie's.
I was like, I'd probably sway of Reed Marnie. I'd probably say like service off the ground. Reed Marnie is like crispy as. I think Wado's fairly close there. Ruck deception obviously got Wade Egan when he's healthy and ready to go, but a lot of other areas, I think defensive tenacity, he misses a lot of tackles, but like, he's always there in a contest, effort. His kicking game is probably the big thing that kind of separates the two. I know a lot of our, Warriors fans definitely talk about our hooker kicking game and stuff like that. Whether Egan has it or not, I'm not too sure. A lot of it has been spoken about, and maybe our system doesn't like that. But, we've seen Reed Marnie's kicking game. He's got a good 40-20 in him. Really good work out of hooker. So I'll probably sway away Reed Marnie.
Yeah. It's weird to me. Let's just quickly talk about that kicking out of hooker. Like, it is a disappointment in a way that we haven't tried to go and do that, because there's definitely moments like we are so strong in certain sets. Like I said, like those first and second hit ups from Montoya, you can definitely catch a team napping a bit, and kick out a dummy half, even if it's not for a 40-20, it can be like for a strategic long kick. I think of is it Cam Smith, some of the good ones. They just find grass, on a third tackle, and then you get back into a defensive set and you grind it out type thing. But yeah, I'm really interested I'd love to actually ask Webby, is that because you don't trust in Egan or Lussick to do it, or is it because you value holding on to the ball until the fifth? Like that. That's just something to ask him. I'm really interested. Have you got any thoughts about that? Is it risk averse? Is it maybe not a good strategy?
It comes down to, for me, there's two ways to look at it, right? So you got, having that is a versatility, right? Like, in versatility, the more versatility you have also comes down to the less consistency that you actually will have too. So, if you look at the Panthers lineup, you got your 2 kickers there, but mainly got Nathan Cleary, right? And he's going to be your main play kicker. Jerome Luai will be your second phase kicker. Mitch Kenny doesn't kick. Like, he's very similar vein of, a Wade Egan and stuff. You've probably seen him once or twice, maybe kicking a game, but majority of that time it comes off of Nathan Cleary. And usually that comes down to a game plan sort of scenario of you'd rather have a consistent kicker each and every time because you know what you're going to get, and you're not going to have those moments. You remember those moments of Wade Egan early on in his career for us where you'd have that, fourth tackle, we built momentum and you just wanted to go to a half and go sideways, and he just darts out a dummy half and wants to score to try himself when we're going through that COVID era. That was one of my peeve hates I had with Wade Egan early on with the Warriors. Like, think of that, but with the kicker, right? So when we get in those moments, but Wade Egan thinks he sees something, he takes it away from the halfback and goes to kicking himself. 7 tackle set probably doesn't happen. Maybe he'll score tries, maybe he won't. Maybe something will happen off it, but more consistent game plan would be going to a general kicker each and every time, right? And not having something that's just out of nowhere. But then again, you do become a little bit more predictable in that way. And I think that if we run the game plan that we do run now, I think we're just got to be better at running that game plan. I think that's what the Panthers look at these days is, they're just better at running the game plan than every other team. Like, they've shifted their game plan a touch because they play a little bit more one pass. If you watch when they get into high momentum, like they play one pass out to the edge. They don't play a lot of block shape anymore. They play like a lot direct, but they still play with a direct kicker off Nathan Cleary, and it's consistent every single time. And they're just so good that like other teams can't beat that. Where, you look at obviously, Melbourne Storm looking at the opposite end of the thing. You got Harry Grant that can kick out an opportunity. You'd never know with those guys. They can score off any opportunity. So there's positive and negatives to it. But for me, I think it's more of trying to bleed consistency in the Warriors and just like limiting it down to a play kicker. But I do understand the opposite point of variety and having something off the cuff that can, cause points to happen, because that's how attack works in rugby league is, variety sometimes.
It also comes to the point like those guys like Harry Grant, they're very good at it. Like, and I don't think I've seen Egan really nail it, or even I know Lussick has that potential, but it might come down to just like how can I, you know, if you got a guy like even Uppy's pretty good at that type of 40-20 kick. I think it's Uppy and maybe Harry Grant. But yeah, maybe just like the guys that can do it. Like for me, if a guy was super confident at doing it and tried it, like I'm sure he would do it. And maybe Egan, maybe it coached out of him. Maybe like you said, it's more risk adverse based over, and it might be fair. But I was thinking if a guy really felt he could do it, there's definitely been some games where you just need a 40-20 or something out of dummy half at the end of the game. You're trying to chase a game. Like, why not try? Why not just give it a crack? The game's nearly over. Try and get it, So I think there's a bit of everything to it. So anyway, it's really good talking point.
I see both points, bro. I really do think that, like, there's two ways to look at it. Like you got variety that puts inconsistency into our attacking game, but also that can have the ability of 50-point games, right? Or you got the opposite where we're probably going to be a 20-point to 24-point scoring team off of one kicker, but like defensively, our defensive shape comes off the back of that, having that one kicker. We can set our line on a separate side and everything is consistent. It's a difference between the two, bro. Like I see the positives in both. But yeah, that's the reason why I think we're going for the system the way we do. I think that maybe Egan and Lussick do have those kicking games, but I really do think that Webby's probably just solely putting into, this is our kicker, Sean Johnson, this is our kicker, Luke Metcalf. And it's just more so as a consistency thing. It's like fifth tackle, this is the guy you want to give it to. Don't go off the cuff, because if the ball doesn't bounce your way, full field tries end up happening. We've seen it before. Tamati Martin, when he gets into that kicking role, really damaging variety of a kicking game. But we've seen moments where maybe the kick doesn't go the way it's supposed to go. 7 tackle set, bang, 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 back foot footy.
Yep.
That sort of thing. That happens sometimes with having a hooker as a kicker. But there's positives and negatives for both.
Yep. No, cool. Marata Nukore versus, I think, it's Jacob Preston on the right edge. I think Preston's been pretty good. I haven't really watched much of him closely. I know Marata's been, for me, he's been solid. A few errors. I think, was it the Dolphins game? One of the games, maybe it was before the Dolphins game, he was a bit poor. The Para game, I can't remember which one it was, but he hasn't really been totally dominating. Where do you sit on Preston and Nukore?
Yeah, this one's probably a lot closer than because Preston's got a lot of potential. I think he's going to be one of the best edge back rollers in the future. I think he's going to be an Origin edge back roller if he just holds on to his injuries. Are probably the biggest thing holding him back. Murata, exactly, you hit on the point, like hit the nail on the head. I think after that, it's been that Cowboys game was impressive, and he's been really good for us in those periods. All out to, I'll probably say, around about that Eels game, maybe before that, maybe even I think there was a couple of games before that where we started to note, like the Raiders game, actually. I think he had one of his poorest games in that Raiders game where defensively he really fell off the pace. Is really what his best area was in our eyes, is defensively he would move off a target really early and push everything out. He kind of fell off that a little bit. I'm not too sure what's really going on there. Maybe he's carrying an injury. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'd say I'll still have Murata Niokore over Jacob Preston right now. But in the future, I could definitely see a world where Jacob Preston becomes like an Andrew Ryan type of, edge back role for the Doggies. Like, just a consistent hard worker on the edge and be an Origin player in the future. So that's for me, bro. Like, would you sway Murata or would you sway Jacob Preston? What do you think? Guys, just sway Murata. It's close though. It's very close.
It's dead close. Freaking Preston. I'll probably sway Preston, but I think Preston's probably got more potential. Murata, just been a little bit off, just a tad, but he's still adding value. So I don't know, man. I'll let you call that. What do you think? You go Murata?
I'm gonna go Murata for now. But as I said, I totally agree. I think there's been a point this season where he's sort of fallen off the form that we saw earlier on. And I just want to see him get back to that. I don't know whether that's just due to having different combinations outside, like, with the halves combinations. I'm not too sure. But, he's still a great edge back row to have out there, and definitely one of our preferred. Like, the reason why we stuck with him is because we did prefer him at that point. So I'll stick with him right now.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Kurt Catewell versus Viliami Kikau. Probably definitely Kikau for me in this battle. Just think he's been damaging. I think he's found some form this year. I think, probably last year wasn't a great year for him, and it's probably his transition. but he's starting to really, I think, connect with those guys. What would you have there?
Yeah, bro. I'm gonna go William Mikiko. I'd say the more consistent edge back rower for me is Kurt Capewell. But like you got a guy here like William Mikiko that has a charge down ability to him. He can chip and chase. He's like this big Fijian body that can just break a game open. And we saw against us. He was the try that ended up pinching it back to draw the game to put it into golden point. So William Mikiko is just that little extra piece. He's probably got that little extra ability over Kurt Capewell. But I feel like Kurt Capewell has actually been really solid for us, bro, consistently since Origin, right? I think we both can agree, like, he's definitely stepped up to, before, I don't think we've seen a lot of good abilities, but him playing back on the left, I think he's been really good for us. But out of the two there, William Mikiko.
Yeah, Vili just got that threat that really, more of in terms of an attacking threat. You probably would go Capewell, just consistency in all facets, but, Vili's got that power. Dylan Walker versus Kurt Mann. Look, I don't even watch much Kurt Mann. I'll probably go with a Walker there. What was his? I don't know. Has Kurt Mann been blowing it out of the park? I'm not too sure.
Kurt Mann's been really solid for them. Really, really solid. But Dylan Walker's been really consistently like one of the best pieces to us this season, I believe. Anyway, he's been really, really solid for us in the middle. So I'd go Dylan Walker. I think attacking wise, Dylan Walker, just because he's a link man, he's got that really good passing ability. But Kurt Mann's been really solid in the middle for the Dogs. Just good foot speed, smaller body, finds his nose in behind the line. Like he's really, really solid. But yeah, I got to go Dylan Walker, bro. Link man play. Defensively, he's been really sound for us as well. So yeah, swaying away Dylan Walker here.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. What are his strengths, man? Is he just a toiler? Is he a link player? What's his real strength? Just a tackle bot? The old tackle bot.
He plays very similar to what the Cowboys like to play Ruben Cotter as. So he plays very up and down. He can be a link man. Like he has played 6 in like past years with the Knights and stuff like that. So he's got a good passing game to link everything together. But a lot of the best moments I've seen out of Kurt Mann is a dummy and go, play off the left foot straight through. And he just like finds, space in behind, forwards, and he just pokes his nose through. Quick play the ball, and the Doggies play off the back of that. So, and defensively, he's been really, really sound this season. So, as we speak with Brody, tomorrow night we got down unders and that. He can't speak like more wonders over Kurt Mann. And,
cool.
Their combination of Kurt Mann and Bailey Hayward being the interchange between the two. When Bailey Hayward comes on, it's a bit more of a link man play like a Dylan Walker where it shifts out to edge. When Kurt Mann's on the field, they play so direct and so quick. So, yeah, he's been really good at that sort of side of football.
Okay, man. That was awesome. Look, we'll go into the bench now. It's Freddie Lussick, Tom Ale, Jazz Tavanga, Dimitri Sifakula, Bailey Hayward, Curtis Morin, Harry Hayes, and Jamin Salmon. For me, I'll probably go with Jazz. I just think Jazz has had a good season. Bailey Hayward, I think he's a pretty good player, this kid.
He's very good.
I would have him in there. So him and Jazz. Dimitri, probably just a little bit, not enough work, not enough data yet, maybe to see him compared to some of the other guys. But on potential, you might have Dimitri in there. But I at least got Bailey Hayward and Jazz in there. Who else would you put in there?
All right, so I agree with you, bro. We're going to go Hayward, and we're going to go Jazz.
Yep.
I agree. And then I would probably go Sifakula.
Okay.
And I would probably go Harry Hayes. And that one's a bit more of a smoky. But guys, this weekend, Harry Hayes is a really solid young player for the Dogs. He's been really, really good for him lately. He's got a lot of energy off the bench, like a really tough player. So get excited for him. I would probably say that at the moment, Tom Ale has been a player that's been up and down for me this season. Like he's had moments where he's looked really good in attack and that, but he's also had some really bad defensive errors. That Eels game, he had some really bad clock offs. So I was just like, come on, bro. Like, you're better than this. But that's swayed away of like Harry Hayes looks really, really nice. And Dimitri Sifakula, Sif, bro, he's been incredible for us. So I'm going to go with that.
Harry Hayes looks like he will never get a crusher tackle done on him. That necklace looks massive. You can crush it
Keep
all
an
you
eye
want on
out.
him and you'll never get sore.
Keep an eye out, bro. This is the ones that obviously, you know, Phil Guild like has put so much into their junior systems and stuff. He's one of them. There's a lot of those like young players that they got coming up, and yeah, Harry Hayes is definitely one of them. So keep an eye on him this week coming up.
Okay, there you guys have it. We went Bailey Hayred, Jazz, Tavanga Dimitrik, and Harry Hayes. So where does that put us, bro? What's the total? Who won the matchup? I'd say they won most of the back line.
Yep. Yeah, Warriors, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 8 Warriors, right? And that would mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 doggies.
9.
So the dogs just beat us out there, 9-8. But both, like, you know, I think fairly balanced side either way. Like, we beat them up top there with Barnett, AFB. But the dogs at the moment individually, you know, Fox and Kuraz and stuff out back, like that back line's pretty nice. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, that wraps up, guys. The combined 17. Well, we're getting we're close to wrapping up. Appreciate everyone in the chat. It's been awesome to just sort of see some comments there. Welcome in Nick Johnson. I know Nick is not a fan of us at times, and probably, but we welcome you in, brother. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, let's just get into score prediction. For me, I'm going to say it's going to go two ways. Everyone will ride the emotion with Sean. His last game, crowd will get behind him. You know, we'll pull off some amazing plays, or you know, like we talked about, we'll attack through the middle and we'll be patient and we'll limit them. And or there's the other element where the Bulldogs are just on a tear and you just cannot stop them. You know, sometimes you just come up against a team that are just so confident and committed. And then sometimes you can play too emotionally, you know, and the other team are more calm and more patient, and they come away with the goods. I can see the side of the Bulldogs winning for sure, but at the same time, I'm just hoping for, you know, the 3 guys that are 1 retiring and 2 leaving, that we can pull out of the bag. And it just feels like, you know, there's no team in the NRL that should have such a run that the Bulldogs have. I think they need to be brought back down to earth. I think we can be that team. So I'll probably pick us in a low scoring game. I think it might be similar to the game we played against them at a core, where you just 2 grinded out style teams, similar style, but we get away with a bit of class from Sean Johnson and maybe even Metcalf, that maybe we can just get one over them, which will be great. What are you thinking, bro? Where are you kind of sitting at?
Yeah, bro. Obviously, you know, looking over the Doggies, we all know they've actually now cracked being the best defensive side in the competition on average. So they're better than the Panthers currently right now on both points and tries conceded. So it's going to be a tough ask scoring points against the side, especially, you know, with Sean Johnson at halfback. This year, we haven't been that great of an attacking side comparatively to Tamani Martin in that 7 jersey. I've already brought up the stats of that in past, but hopefully we're going back to Sean Johnson being a little bit more healthier, that added little bit of effort that he's going to have to run out there and play over his, you know, the injuries that he's carrying, you know, step up for the boys here. You know, overall, we're both sitting very similar attacking wise. The Doggies, you know, point wise average 22.2 points per game. We're 21.1. So we're right there, 9th and 10th. We're right next to each other. So it's probably going to be a very, very close game, as it resembled in that first game. 13-12 that first game was. I think the added, you know, the ability of the Warriors being at home may uptick us for a little bit. Yep. So I'm going to go a 20-18 scoreline. I think it's going to be really, really close. Again, it's going to come down to like a 2-point, you know, sort of margin there. Hopefully goal kicking is on point in this game here too. That's definitely been an area we do need to continue to work on. But I'm confident in the boys that they can go out there and do a job if we play with our full ability. As I said, looking back at that last Doggies game, if we turn up, to the contest, we tackle hard, we get into the contest, that sort of area, I think we can beat the Dogs. Like, who says we can't? Like, we had 3 big key injuries in that last game with our back line, and then add in those couple of moments where we had to switch edge back rollers and middle forwards out to the edge to cover for those players. Like, and we only just got beat by 1 point. You know what I mean? In a game that was all over the place. Like, our kicking game was definitely not there. Sean Johnson back, steady the ship. Last game at Mount Smart, Sean Johnson Stadium. Sean Johnson goes out. Maybe it could be a 19-18 game, bro. Sean Johnson field goal. And do it at home. Sean Johnson Stadium, baby. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm going to go close contest, though, because you've got to give all respect to the Dogs. And also, we got to consider that form-wise, us going into this contest, I feel like we looked a little bit better against Manly. Errors were definitely a major problem there. But, yeah, that's the reason why it's going to be a very close game for me.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I think it will be close. That you're probably right. We probably will get a bit more points at home. So I'm looking forward to that. And you're just Sean looking for some a magic moment, something to put back down into his, his career as a good moment. It's the sign off of Sean Johnson at Mount Smart. Look, man, massive show. I think we did nearly 2 hours tonight. Appreciate everyone in the chat. We will be back. Ash will be here on Friday. Is that right, Ash, 100%. For the watch along? You got Down Unders tomorrow night as well. Tune in for that, guys. I'll be at the game on Friday. If any of you guys in the chat want to catch up, I'll be walking around. I'll probably end up at the North Stand and just watch from the fence there. So I'll probably just be standing. Although I'm technically got a ticket in the South Stand, I'll probably just walk around and float around a little bit. But yeah, might catch you guys there. Come up and say hi. If not, jump on the watch along with Ash, please. Give us a like. Appreciate all of our members, Auntie Eddie's, the other brother who joined us in our memberships. Yeah, we want to get all of our membership stuff done. We'll get some more emotes in there as well for more 100%. Fun to brighten up our streams. So yeah, any last words from you, Ash, before we wrap up?
Nah, guys, all our members in the chat right now, please jump into the chat, throw up some emojis. So throw up some Le Bon emojis for the win this weekend, hey? Get some try-scoring emojis up there. But as you guys know, come in tomorrow night. Me and Brody got a really good show. Down Unders coming up. We've got some new segments we've got going on there. Really, really fun show. And then obviously come check out our watch along. But if you see Levon at the game, go say hello. Go say hello. Shout out to Wise Up TV and that. And if you enjoy the content, guys, please make sure you like and subscribe. We've had a really solid night. 254 views currently right now. 35 current viewers right now. So I appreciate all you guys coming through and your amazing work as always.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And as always, Ash, really great chat. We've got plenty more to get through. I mean, we got this game, and then we got next week's game, and then we've got a pretty big, final series. But there's a lot to talk about the Warriors before we really wrap up this season. Yeah. So there's a lot to talk about. And shout out to Jazz with the emotes going hard there. Thank you, Jazz. All of our moderators. And everyone that's new in the chat, we appreciate you guys as well. But we'll leave it there, guys. Stay safe wherever you are. We'll see you on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Only 3 more days to go, and then we're into the game on Friday night. So enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Up the Wilds.